let's say you have a family, but you don't want to subject yourself to a minivan. This new Mazda CX-90 is a potentially great vehicle all around for somebody that needs to carry a lot of people, a lot of things. Maybe you even have a small trailer, but you still want a vehicle that's economical. Now, what we're looking at right here is the plug-in hybrid version of the new CX-90, and we're also going to check out the inline-six turbo version of it as well. And recently, our editor Zach and I had the chance to check out the vehicles in California, and we got to walk around them, look at a little bit of the interior and the design of it. And we're now back in California again, because this time we actually get to drive it. In the video where we're going to drive both the hybrid and the turbo inline-six is coming very, very soon. But before then, we want to talk a little bit about what it is that has us excited about this vehicle, and that starts with the exterior design. This is a very fresh new design from Mazda. This vehicle is, of course, coming in to eventually replace the CX-9, and it is a much more updated, modern offering from Mazda, which is a great thing, because we really feel that Mazda has done a lot to move up market and improve the design and especially the interiors of their vehicles. And speaking of interiors, let me show you what this has going on. This is not at all the very top of the line version of the CX-90, but even so, you can see a lot of nice materials and a lot of nice design on this interior. There are some harder plastics here and there, but overall, it's a good looking place to sit. And you also have two 12.3-inch screens here, one in front of the driver for the gauge cluster and one for the infotainment as well. If you opt for one of the more base models, you'll have a 10.25-inch screen in the center and a 7-inch screen in front of you as the driver. But these screens, the bigger screens on some of the nicer trim models are, I mean, they're big, they're beautiful, they're pretty spectacular. And it's an overall very comfortable interior. Again, even though this isn't the very, very top of the line, and a lot of these materials, even though they look like the hard plastic elephant skin type of material that we're used to, this is slightly soft touch. So a lot of good to be said about this. You also have a large dual pane moonroof here above you. And yeah, it's a nice interior. And there's a number of different configurations for these cars, depending on what trim level you get. It can be anything from a 6-seater to an 8-seater. There's also a 7-seat version of it. And this is a 7-seater. So we've got captain's chairs here in the middle. I can move them back a little bit to give me some extra leg room. Yeah, captain's chairs are nice to have. So the different configurations that you can get are a 2-3-3, a 2-2-3, and a 2-2-2. And this is the 2-2-3. I'll go ahead and jump in the back. I guess with the captain's chair is probably the easiest way, maybe, get back here is to slide through. Actually, probably not. Let's pull this guy forward. Ingress isn't too bad, I guess. I mean, these are never the easiest places to get into on any car. And yeah, the third row is mostly meant for kids, and I would say more than anything meant for kids in a pinch. But I mean, even at 5'10", it's a little hard to get my feet slid in here, but I have some knee room, I have some head room, so it's far from the worst third row I've been in. I also have 2 cup holders and a USB-C port back here. So that's all nice to have. Now, let me pop out and let's talk a little bit more about powertrain. Walk around and show you where this car is plugged in. So obviously this is the plug-in hybrid. Now, Mazda has yet to release an official figure for what the all-electric driving range is, but it's something that we want to test in the full review, so be sure to stay tuned for that video to see what kind of numbers we'll potentially get. But in terms of this powertrain, you have a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder combined with a hybrid system that gives you a total output of 323 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, and all of that power is sent through a brand new 8-speed transmission. Now, that's actually pretty impressive because this plug-in hybrid is only 17 horsepower down from the very top of the line Turbo S model. The Turbo S makes 340 horsepower. This is 323, so this is very nearly as much power in the same amount of torque as that top of the line Turbo S. And it actually sits between the base 3.3 turbo and the top of the line 3.3 Turbo S. So it's kind of interesting. You have that 3.3 liter inline six that we'll look at in a second. That comes in as both the base and the top end model, but in its base configuration it makes 280 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. So this hybrid, the plug-in version, sits kind of right in the middle. It's kind of interesting the way that they did that. But a lot of advantages to the plug-in hybrid. It has an EV driving mode so that maybe you could drive your daily commute on all-electric power, which makes this, as a family vehicle, potentially all the more practical for you to use. One thing that is worth some consideration when it comes to this plug-in hybrid version, though, is the fact that you can only go up to 3,500 pounds of towing capability on the hybrid versus the Turbo S and the turbo models. You can get up to 5,000 pounds. So if you do want to maximize how much you can tow, then going for that inline six is going to be the better option for you. And the inline six still has a 48-volt mild hybrid system. It gets 24 miles per gallon city, 28 highway, 25 combined. And if you go for the Turbo S, the more powerful version, then most of those MPG numbers stay the same. It's just city, it drops from 24 to 23. Really not a massive difference. And while we're talking about it, why don't we jump over to the inline six and check it out. In the rain briefly here, we're in Sonoma, which is a stunning part of the country, and it's usually a really phenomenal place to be and a phenomenal place to film because obviously it's California. You kind of figure that you're going to come into nice weather, but it is a little bit of a rainy, gloomy day here. Again, luckily we're under a tent. So you can see along the side, inline six. This is one of the top of the line Turbo S models, and that is immediately apparent. Well, it's locked, but you look through the window, you can see this is the much higher spec interior. This is just one of the top of the line versions of the CX-90. It's a really stunning car, especially in this artisan red. So again, I mean, if you want more power and if you want more towing, then the inline six is probably going to be the way to go. And we should talk a little bit too about pricing, and I'll give you exact numbers. So these vehicles start at $39,595 MSRP. If you want one of the plug-in hybrid models, they start at $47,445, and then the Turbo S starts at $51,750. So obviously, if you want some of the higher end powertrains, it is going to cost you some extra. If you want to go for a really, really top of the line version of this car, get as much luxury as you can out of it, nicer audio system, all of those extra features, better materials, then you can spec these up above $60,000, but you don't have to. It starts, like I said, a lot lower than that. So one of the nice things about this car is that there's really a lot of different options here. Now, you can go for the higher horsepower, mostly gas mild hybrid version that tows a little bit more, or you can get a plug-in hybrid that's potentially really, really practical for your commute. So it just depends on what you're looking for. I really think that they've made the lineup of this CX-90, given it the potential to satisfy a lot of different people's needs depending on what you're looking for. But it's something that can carry up to 8 people without having to sacrifice comfort, luxury, looks. There's a lot here. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. This is something that we're very excited to drive, so keep your eyes peeled for that video coming very soon. And we'll see you all in the next video. And go to alltfl.com if you want to see even more of our coverage in the automotive and motorcycle industries.